All right, today we're diving into a really fascinating and honestly incredibly simple approach to finding some mental quiet. It comes from a book called The Just One Look Method, and it makes a pretty bold claim that a single action can completely shift your relationship with anxiety and fear. So let's see what that action is all about.
You know, the authors say this method is really for anyone who's just tired. Tired of being caught in that loop of fear and anxiety, or just feeling like life is a constant struggle. If you've ever felt that, that nagging sense that there has to be a more peaceful way to live, then this is definitely for you.
So what's the actual problem we're trying to solve here? Well, the book suggests that almost all of our mental suffering comes from one single hidden source, something that's running in the background of our lives all the time without us even realizing it.
And they give it a name, the fear of life. Now, this isn't like being afraid of spiders or public speaking. It's described as something much deeper, a constant, low-level hum of an assumption that life itself is dangerous and can't be trusted. It's this foundational belief that kind of taints everything else.
I think the metaphor the book uses for this is just brilliant. A psychological autoimmune disease. Think about that. Just like a physical autoimmune disease where the body attacks itself, here the mind is constantly trying to protect you from a threat that isn't really there, life itself. Okay, so if that's the disease, what's the cure? The method is really broken down into two main steps. Let's start with the first one, which is, without a doubt, the most important one. It all hinges on a single inward look.
The instructions are super direct. You start by just grounding yourself. Put your attention on your tongue, then your feet, then the feeling of your breath. This is really just the warm-up. The final move is to turn that same spotlight of attention inward. But what exactly are you supposed to be looking for?
And this quote just nails it. You're not looking for your thoughts or your feelings or any ideas you have about yourself. You are looking for the raw, basic sensation of existence. That simple, undeniable feeling of being me.
So here's the crucial part, the big claim. The book says this one simple act of looking for your own me-ness can, in an instant, pull the plug on that background noise of anxiety and distrust. Just one look is all it takes to flip the switch.
Okay, hang on. If one look is all it takes, then why is there a second step? It's a great question. This next part is all about training your attention for what happens after you've taken that first look.
See, after that first look, you might feel this amazing sense of relief. They call it a honeymoon period. But the book warns that a period of confusion is likely to follow, where all those old, familiar, fearful thoughts start creeping back in. This next exercise is the tool you need to get through that.
This is basically a workout for your attention, like taking your brain to the gym. For just 10 minutes, you focus on your breath and you count. But here's the thing. The key isn't to do it perfectly. The real magic is in step 3. You will get distracted. And step 4 is where the work gets done. Gently, without judgment, you just bring your attention back over and over and over again.
And this slide just sums it up perfectly. The point is not to empty your mind or to get to 10 without messing up. No way. Every single time you notice you've wandered off and you choose to come back to the breath, you are strengthening a muscle. It's the simple act of choosing where to put your attention that builds the skill.
So what does this whole journey actually look like over time? The book is pretty clear that this isn't an instant fix for all your problems. It's more like a process of regeneration.
This timeline kind of maps it out. That first look flips a switch, often without you even consciously knowing it. Then you might get that awesome honeymoon feeling. But then comes the tough part, the period of confusion, where all the old junk comes back. That's when you really need that attention exercise. And eventually, that leads to regeneration, where your mind starts to rebuild itself on a completely new, healthier foundation.
Okay, now we get to the final, and I think maybe the most powerful idea in the whole book. It's a total reframing of how you should relate to all those difficult thoughts that pop up during that period of confusion.
What a powerful way to put it. The idea here is that after that first look, the deep underlying fear of life is already gone. It's been defeated. So the negative thoughts that still show up, they're just like old soldiers from a beaten army who haven't gotten the memo that the war is over.
Just let that sink in for a second. According to this method, after you take that one look, the fundamental problem, that psychological autoimmune disease, is neutralized at its root. The core issue has already been solved. So what about all that anxious chatter that still pops into your head? They're just echoes, aftershocks. They're mental habits that no longer have a commander. Their power source has been cut.
And that means you don't have to fight them anymore. This is the crucial shift. You realize they've already lost their power. You're not on a battlefield. You're just cleaning up a bit after the victory parade. The war is over.
And this right here is the practical skill you're building with that attention exercise. You start to create a little space between you and your thoughts. You can see them pop up and recognize them for what they are, just old habits. And you realize you can choose not to engage. You can decline to give them your attention. And without your attention, they literally starve.
So in the end, that's the really empowering question this whole method leaves us with. What if those soldiers of fear no longer had any power to command you? What if you could just let them march on by, knowing, with full confidence, that the war is already over?